How South Africa is leading the future of education and enabling job opportunities for the youth. What a joke. I'm sure most of you tonight are saying, it's more like how will South Africa lead the future of education and enable job opportunities for the youth, particularly because the data never lies. The National Student Financial Aid Scheme, NSFAS, has collapsed as a result of governance failures and gross corruption. With almost 50 billion rands unaccounted for, our future doctors, lawyers, engineers, actuaries, and many, many more young South Africans have been abandoned. Business is outraged that they are not receiving sufficient funding from their SETAs, and that year on year their funding is reducing without merit. Where is their money going to? President Ramaphosa has declared that the SETAs no longer serve the needs of our country. Mass corruption within the SETAs have damaged the country's labor force. That, coupled with the fact that our basic education system has recorded that 81% of our grade 4 students cannot read for meaning. So how will South Africa lead the future of education and enable job opportunities for youth when 4.7 million young people are unemployed and 10.6 million are outside the labor force altogether? But the harshest truth is that those aged between 15 to 24 face an unemployment rate of 69%. 50 years later, is this the South Africa Hector Peterson died for? And the answer is no. So those numbers that I've just called out are not numbers. They are the silent weight carried by families, the unspoken worry of parents, the restless energy of young people who long to contribute but cannot find a way in. And behind every statistic is a heartbeat, a dream, a young South African waiting to be seen. So tonight, I want to tell you that hope is not lost. Good evening, distinguished guests. I stand on all protocols observed. My name is Dr. Kershen Pillay, and I'm the CEO of GIFTS. I stand before you tonight with immense pride, not only in my institution, but in our nation and our continent. Because tonight I'll share with you how ordinary South Africans, like you and I, are not waiting for the future of education and work to arrive. We are building it. In November last year, South Africa proudly hosted the G20 Social Summit, chaired by two remarkable leaders, Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, the Honorable Raymond Lamola, and the former Deputy President, Dr. Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka. At this G20, the Africa Legacy Project, expanding access to higher education in Africa, was launched, together with the Department of Higher Education and Training, GIFTS, the University of Johannesburg, employers from telco, retail, healthcare, the global business services sector, the financial services sector, and many other forward-thinking institutions, where we commenced by reimagining curricula to align with the demands of tomorrow's industries. Individuals from all over the globe congregated in Johannesburg, South Africa, with one vision: to help Africa realize its potential, placing Africa's youth at the center of global conversations. Overnight, the G20 Legacy Project turned South Africa into a laboratory of innovation, where we went without sleep, fueled by adrenaline. We looked for ways to produce job creators and entrepreneurs. The feeling amongst us was exhilarating. Through this process, the Global Goals 2030 Africa Scholarship was launched, and it became a flagship G20 project. And since inception, this scholarship has issued issued in excess of 776 million rands in scholarships for MBAs, doctoral programs, BSc qualifications, certificates, diplomas, and degrees offered by leading local and international institutions. This scholarship created fast-track pathways for people with no formal education to end up having master's degrees and doctorates. These pathways enabled us to create collaborative relationships with both local and international universities. Africa won, and our youth won too. The scholarship partners with employers to upskill their existing staff, to ensure that they are ready for the jobs of the future, and that we do not have job loss through technological disruptions. At the same time, it also focused on youth who are unemployed and unable to get into universities, TVET colleges, and institutions of higher learning. It created pathways for employers to employ them, educate them, as well as benefit their scorecards, helping their workforce and readying them for the future of work. It's a project where people like you and I rose to the occasion to make a difference. This scholarship is the proud legacy of the G20 Social Summit and demonstrates what happens when leaders like you come together for the greater good. The Social Summit also illustrated that the opportunity is no longer bound by geography. It is bound only by imagination, access, and leaders who are willing to rise up. As a result of leaders rising up, this scholarship and the G20 Legacy Project enabled Africa to say to the world, Africa is not a continent of problems, it is a continent of solution and opportunity. Our demographic dividend is not a burden, it's a blessing. Our young people are not waiting for handouts, they are demanding and creating platforms to innovate, to lead and to contribute. So leaders in this room, you have a duty, and that duty is to rise up and ensure that South Africa's strategies resonate globally and translate into a future of entrepreneurship and job skilling and work opportunities, because our task is simply not to create jobs. It is to restore dignity. It is to ignite hope. It is to remind our youth that they are seen, that they are valued, and that they are capable of greatness. Destined to fail, these leaders changed their trajectory by teaching them a simple skill of how to sing and perform. They turned into global singing sensations. I hope this video inspires you as a leader to rise for our youth. So Tick, we're counting on you. So leaders, I think we're going to need... Leaders, as you heard our welcome note, tonight in this room, let us recommit ourselves to the vision of Ubuntu. Because if we do so, South Africa will not only participate in the future of education and work, we will rise to lead it. Remember, When we speak of youth unemployment, we are not speaking of strangers. We are speaking of our sons and daughters, our nieces and nephews, our neighbors, our family, our community. So let's rise, because how South Africa will lead the future of education and enable jobs for youth is up to you. So in closing, as a leader who is award-winning, how will you be remembered? Thank you.